Okay, I think we're good. We're live. Hello, everybody. It's always that weird awkwardness. Let me know if you can hear me. I know I was trying to get some audio issues sorted out a couple times prior, so hello there. Yeah, it's always this awkward moment with the pause and the delay. We can hear you. Great. Thank you, Jackie. Hello to everybody. It's always so weird with a live stream. I'm still kind of getting used to the format and doing these once a month here, but uh, the delay, like I know when I click start streaming. I don't know exactly when on your end when the streaming actually starts. But yes, welcome to the What I Watched in May birthday special live stream. Yes, it's my birthday today. I usually don't do anything spectacular or celebrate, but I'm taking the opportunity to do that now. I'm casting off the humility and saying, it's my birthday. Yay. So, I'm reading through some of the comments here. So, thank you very much for all the birthday wishes, everybody. And B, you were asking if, did you guys watch much in May? I feel like I just watched too much YouTube. This is actually going to be a little bit more, have a little bit more brevity to it in the actual what I watched portions of this because, yeah, same boat. As far as movies go, this was a bit of a light month for me. So, I mean, TV shows, somewhat, but we'll get into that. No, anywho, yeah. So why don't we go ahead and I'm trying to figure out how to, because this is a little bit of a special thing. So I want to do what I watched. I also did post a community post asking about if you want to ask me anything, I can answer it here and do a little special Q&A AMA thing. And hi, Robert. Hi, Mr. Boone. Hi, everybody for joining here. So that I can answer some, questions and a little bit of a special thing here. So why don't I go ahead and just intersperse that? So let's go. I got 3 responses to that. 3 questions that were asked with the Ask Me Anything thing here. And looks like the first one comes from Rob from Exploitation R&R, who has a great channel. I recommend checking it out if exploitation films are kind of your bag. He's a really great resource for that. But his question is, favorite TNA in a horror movie? I think Rob is kind of capitalizing a little bit on the differences between our channels. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I most certainly do. But yeah, I mean, I model myself after kind of, I don't know, like this kind of weird cross blend between Svengoolie and Mr. Rogers. But, so I guess my favorite is not like full nude. But I would be remiss if I did not point to the absolute goddess of Cassandra Peterson, Elvira. T and A, Sammy, not TNA. Boobs and butts. Trying to keep it a little bit clean, not necessarily for the kiddies out there, but just trying not to demonetize myself. Sometimes you gotta watch the verbiage. Let's go ahead and get into what I watched in May. I'm gonna try and not bump my microphone here and pop over to this screen. All right. So, things start out with the 1978 version of Doctor Strange. This was, obviously in the Multiverse of Madness was coming out, and I had the opportunity to get a watch of this, which I had been wanting to do for a while. Jessica Walters is in it, and it looked really cheesy. And what I have to say is, more than anything else, it was boring. It was a made-for-TV movie. It was kind of following up on like Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno kind of thing. From what I understand, it was one of those like they were trying to figure out if there was enough interest to actually turn it into a show, and based on the film, there certainly wasn't. So yeah, it was bad. Yeah, would not recommend. And then Paddington and Paddington 2. After watching, I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah, after watching the Nick Cage movie, I wanted to see Paddington 2 for myself. And I felt like I really shouldn't watch Paddington 2 until I watched Paddington first. And hi, Ben. Thank you very much. And yeah, it was everything everybody had said and more. It was so lovely and so delightful. I did like Paddington 2 just a smidge more than Paddington, but both of them were so wonderful. Very quality cinema through and through. Just feel good movies that, you know, had some really good, you know, tender moments. I love them to pieces. After that, Fire in the Sky, really shifting things up a little bit. I may turn this one into a review yet. I don't know. I kind of had interest in it. I had never seen it before. And it was something that's always been on my radar. I remember, you know, when it came out back in 1993, when I was 13 years old. It was a bit of an iconic thing, just the guy in the field with the light shining down on him. You know, it was like back arched and the whole bit. But I had never gotten around to seeing it. And I did my review of Communion based on a recommendation from Emma, Spooky Astronauts. And that was kind of similar vein, let's just say, of I'm trying to remember his name now. I probably won't. I remember I got it wrong several times in the review, and I got holy hell for that in the comments. But the name's going to kill me. Anyway, but yeah, Fire in the Sky has always kind of been on my docket. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's for Sammy there. But I enjoyed Fire in the Sky after watching it. I thought it was halfway decent. It was overall kind of okay-ish leading up to, you know, the events that actually, you know, supposedly that actually in the film happened in the abduction. And that was pretty stellar. So it was kind of, you know, a lot of lead up of kind of, I would say, the high-ish end of mediocrity. But once we actually got to what happened in the abduction in the film, that's where it really took off. But unfortunately, that really was kind of the latter portions of the movie. But yeah, Ben, I can absolutely see that it gave you nightmares. That was quality horror. Then Suicide for Beginners, the horror comedy that just came out. I did a review of that. Wacky and low budget, and definitely the humor level is definitely not for everybody. But I overall mostly kind of enjoyed it. And oh, thank you, B. There. That takes more blow pressure than it should. Anyway, yeah, Suicide for Beginners. I mean, it had some fun performances from Sid Haig, because it was like made prior to his death, obviously, and you know, it was trying to be get made from 2014, I think. And also a bit part from Corey Feldman in there. Like I said, just silly, stupid fun that missed a lot, but it also hit a lot in the humor. It really, you know, it aimed for the fences, and it wasn't a home run in the slightest, but, you know, it got a runner on base. It just depends on what kind of humor you're in the mood for. Then, yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think the issue that I had with that one, and it's an unfair comparison, and I get that, and I acknowledge that, but hang on. This will get rectified. And there we go. Merry Christmas to you, Sammy. Anyway, so It might be an unfair comparison, but I think that, I mean, we've had a lot of multiverse stuff lately, and let me give it to you. Give it to you to be and having Multiverse of Madness come out on the heels of some really phenomenal multiverse movies like, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, and Everything Everywhere All at Once, I felt like the Doctor Strange movie was okay. But it really didn't explore the multiverse aspect of it nearly as much as I think it could have, especially it being in the title. And not really going to give any spoilers either, but I really felt like it set a lot of character development back that it spent so long developing in WandaVision. So, I mean, overall, I thought it was fun. It just wasn't my favorite Marvel movie. Superhost, I'm not posting the star rating of that because it is going to be a review that I put out in the next day or two. I have to get it done before May. And then Ginger Snaps. I watched that as part of a watch party with Nightmare Maven in her channel and her Patreon. And it was my first watch of Ginger Snaps, and I enjoyed it a fair bit. I'm usually not huge on werewolf movies. My favorite one overall is a film from Spain called Lobos de la Arga, Game of Werewolves, which is horror comedy. And but yeah, I mean, overall, werewolves are a little bit but that one I enjoyed. Ginger Snaps I did enjoy. Oculus, I did a rewatch of that so that I could do my what didn't work about it in my Rotted Entertainment video, which I recommend checking out. It's one of those things. It was like on my mind as far as like a deconstruction, and I covered it years ago in my review of Oculus, but I kind of wanted to refresh it a little bit and get it back into the present as far as breakdown of it. Hi, DC. Welcome. Let's see. Nosferatu the Vampire. This was part of my watch party, the Rotted Reviews Patreon watch party. This was suggested by Jackie. And it was fun. It was it was interesting. And yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to see Klaus Kinski's portrayal of Nosferatu. And Isabelle Adjani is just perfect in everything she does. So that was an interesting and fun watch. A very different take on Dracula. And sometimes it worked. I think at the very beginning, it worked exceptionally well. Like, it was sinister. And then at some point, it's like, okay, vary it up a little bit, Klaus. And then, if you're ever going to be watching this and you're sensitive to, actual real-life animal cruelty in cinema, there are some aspects of this that are extraordinarily problematic in how it handled rats, especially in the film. So just FYI on that. And shortly after we did this watch, unbeknownst to me, Joe Bob tackled it in one of his newest live drive-ins. So all of a sudden it's just like right out there. So then The Devil's Tale, that was a compilation horror film that I reviewed. The Batman, I did a rewatch of that, just to kind of, because I wanted to. Tarnation, which was a request put in by Ben for me to review, which was like an Australian Evil Dead, and that definitely earned my good bad movie seal of approval. It's a fantastic good bad movie. Fun. Terrible, but fun. I actually, Joe Bob talking about the rats, I did not watch that last drive-in episode yet. And just because, I mean, I had just seen Nosferatu the Vampire. But I think once it actually comes out into Shudder in those only Joe Bob episodes, segments, seasons, whatever, then I'll definitely be watching that and kind of getting going with that watch. We're all going to the World's Fair. This is a rewatch for me, and this time it was part of Spooky Astronauts Patreon. I'm subscribed to a fair number of other creators' Patreons, and Emma's Spooky Astronauts is, I mean, if you're ever looking for a quality community, Nightmare Maven and Spooky Astronauts are both fantastic Patreons to sign up for. But yeah, we're all going to the World's Fair. So this rewatch was interesting because I actually adjusted my rating. My original rating was 3 stars, and this time I gave it 3.5. I think a second watch definitely benefits if you're able to and willing at that point to actually sit through it again. I can't help but feel like there is information that gets delivered later on in the movie that really should have been more front and present, front and center present in the beginning. And I think it would have worked to much better effect if you weren't going through 7/8 of the movie scratching your head. I think it could have still delivered a lot of the tonal elements that it was going for without having quite as much ambiguity. But yeah, I did enjoy it. A lot more on the second time around. The Basement. So this is one... I need to record my review of this. Again, this is another one I need to get done this month. So there's 2 days left in this month, and there's 2 more reviews for me to do. So yeah, look for it tomorrow and the day after. But The Basement is one that is not like a rotted request, but it was a request put in by a friend of mine and a subscriber to the channel, Sean Mazzarel. And this is the movie that he directed back in 2015. And it's going to be a special video, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to go about doing this. But he's directing shortly. He's writing, and he's working on currently, not a follow-up to this, but his next movie. And his next movie is going to... you know what? I really don't want to give anything away. I'm gonna stop myself before giving any more details because it's not mine to tell. Suffice it to say, I did agree to do a video review of The Basement in an honest fashion, like actually giving it a proper review, but in kind of a ramped up, a little bit angry movie nerd kind of fashion. So like the tone of what I want to get across needs to come through because I did watch it and I do want to give an honest review of it. But yeah, it's going to be like a slight personality caricature of myself when I do it. And I'm probably going to do like a 2-minute preface of the video just to kind of avoid confusion. Hatching. I was originally going to watch this for a review, and I decided, not for any particular reason, but I just decided to not do a review and include it in this segment instead. Interesting body horror, coming-of-age horror kind of movie, and there were elements of it that I really did appreciate, and the effects were fantastic in it. Some of the themes in it were really good. I did have, as an emetophobic, some major issues with some of the content in there. I've been better about movies showing vomiting, but this took it to a level that was real difficult. It was very difficult for me to get past. But yeah, great effects. And if you're a fan of body horror and you don't mind foreign films, I do recommend checking out Hatching. Where's everybody getting this? Sean reached out to me for a lot of this, so I don't know where anybody else is getting this, but yeah, Sean reached out to me for that. Then I watched Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. I was a big fan of the original show. I mean, I was honestly a big fan of Chip 'n Dale before Rescue Rangers, like prior to the 90s show or 80s show. I remember reading like the Disney Whitman comics that had Chip 'n Dale in them. But yeah, I loved Rescue Rangers when it was on the air, and I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's quite as good as a lot of people are hyping it. But it is fun, and it is an interesting take on meta humor within animation and Hollywood that has Easter eggs imbued in just about every frame. So, I mean, there's a lot in there to enjoy. I just don't think it's quite the great movie that a lot of people are putting it out. I did a rewatch of The Accountant just because I was kind of interested in it again. KGF Chapter 1. I was planning on doing I was. You still need to watch it, Ben. Wow, that's surprising. Wow. Yeah, yeah, I would recommend. That's all I'll say. I was dodging into the Discord. Okay, I won't say anything more about it other than I recommend. So KGF Chapter 1. This is a film from India, and I had the opportunity to watch KGF Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, which is a lot of time investment because each movie is like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And I was kind of in the mood seeing some of the hype for RRR to see just an absolutely insane Indian action movie. And KGF was like at the towards the top of the list. And man, I don't know. It was fun in places. The entirety of the movie was very much kind of grandiose slow motion hero shots for 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is fun in small doses, but 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it's unrelenting in it. And on one hand, I appreciate that. On the other hand, that was a lot. And I started watching Chapter 2. It's not included in this list because I turned it off. And it's not because it was any less quality than Chapter 1. It's just that it was just so much more of the same. And by that time, I was done. And it kind of occurred to me why I grew so tired of it mid-watch. And it was actually like a few days later, and I stumbled across, I didn't actually read the article, I feel bad about it, but I did stumble across a headline for an article about John Cena's Peacemaker and the touting the new vulnerable heroes, not even superheroes, vulnerable heroes that I won't give any spoilers, but in Peacemaker, I mean, he does, he's an asshole. But he allows his outer asshole shell to break down a bit. We have a very tender moment of him playing the piano, so on and so forth. And I did hear Ari Aster's new one is 3.5 hours long. Whew, I don't know about that. But it reminded me of why I loved his Peacemaker character so much in the show, is because I am on board with characters being more complex, being more vulnerable, and allowing themselves to grow. And KGF was the absolute antithesis of that. It was a character that could do no wrong, was absolutely bulletproof, and it was just 2 hours and 45 minutes of hero shots of him. And although, like I said, that was fun, it wasn't. It was all dessert, no dinner. Demons 2. This was the second watch party for the channel Patreon. If you're interested in joining, Patreon Rotted Reviews, just check it out. We do have watch parties, usually 2 a month. This next month's going to be a little bit different because we have something kind of special coming up. But yeah, we usually do 2 watch parties a month over Discord, and it's fun. If you're interested, the watch party tier starts at $5 a month. I would usually say our Patreon starts at $1 a month, but the watch party tier does start at $5 a month. But yeah, we watched Demons 2. This was a recommendation that was put out by Ben. And it was fun. It was definitely not exactly what I expected, but it was fun. Then Gamer, which was part of Nightmare Maven's watch party, her second watch party, and we watched that just recently, which was a hoot. That was a recommendation from B. And it had its moments. And Clownins in the Woods. This was part of the Bloodbath and Beyond watch party. What's the Patreon thing? Is it like more fun content? Tell us more. It is like more fun content. It's rotted reviews to the nth degree. It's just, it's a fun little thing. If you're interested in doing it, I try to do my best to come up with some stuff, maintain the Discord, with, good channels, watch party engagements and so on. Yeah, I like it. I mean, obviously, I hope you like it if you're subscribed. If you know what, if you're a Patreon subscriber and you like it, go ahead and tout it in the comments. Shout the benefits or whatever. Yeah, I'll let my subscribers speak on my behalf on that one. But didn't like the characters in Demons 2. Too whiny. Demons had a pimp and naked punks. I still haven't seen the first Demons yet, but yeah, the characters in Demons 2, they were whiny. It was very, very 80s, and it was kind of nice to see a lot of them die. Then Clowns in the Woods, yeah, that was something. That was a 2B special that actually wasn't quite as bad as I feared. It actually had some pretty creative kills, and it had the first moob knife scene I had ever seen in horror movies before. So that earned some good creative points for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about spoilers for Clowns in the Woods. But yeah, I mean, at one point, somebody actually, somebody's attacking, lifts up his shirt, pulls up his moob, pulls a knife out from under it. So it was a moment. I love wacky stuff like that. Anywho, so yeah, that's the movies that I watched. Fairly light. Let me bring over my screens a little bit here. All right. Fairly light in the way of movies, and that just kind of comes down to a few things, mostly just kind of priorities being a little shifting a little bit. I put some more priority on reading, so I've been reading some more books. I did read House on the End of Nameless Street, I think it was called, which was actually a better read than I thought that it was going to be. That one was a bit difficult to get into. It was a recommendation put out by Nightmare Maven, and I'm really glad that I stuck with it. It was a good horror book that tells the tale from roughly 3 different perspectives that kind of changes from one to the other in between chapters. And it's a little bit difficult to kind of get into it, what it's about, without spoiling anything. But suffice it to say, those 3 perspectives tell the story of a fairly flawed character with a difficult to follow perspective in life, and the parallels between that and a little girl that went missing. And one of the perspectives, if this piques your interest at all, is of the house cat. So, somebody will enter into the house and kind of visit for a little bit and then leave. And then the next chapter will be the house cat and their telling of it, which is somebody invaded. Their smell is all over the place. I'm hiding under the couch. How dare they do this? Things like that. It's unique. So let's get into, well, actually, you know what? Before I get into the TV shows that I watched, it's not like Rashomon. It's not telling the same thing in different perspectives. It's continuing on with the story by shifting. What the hell was that? Something hit my window. That startled me. I've had a bird land on my windowsill before, and they make a hell of a clatter when they do it, but that was just a thump. Anyway, it's not telling the same story from 3 different sides. It's continuing the story by shifting perspective each time, and you have to kind of put some of the puzzle pieces together as it's going along. One of the aspects that I kind of like is because we have a bit of an unreliable narrator in one of those perspectives. It's kind of the best way I can really put it is a bit of a simple mind kind of aspect of looking at things. He can't remember names, so he has to kind of describe people, the orange-haired lady, that kind of thing. and thinking about childhood and how they went to the beach and Dad had his thermos of coffee. And Dad had his thermos of coffee, and as soon as he finished his thermos of coffee, then he took a nap, which was weird because he was only, usually people don't have naps after having coffee. And then after he was done with his nap, then he played the game of tripping on his shoelaces. And it was very vague, and that you had to kind of pick up the pieces of that wasn't coffee. It didn't expressly say that. So it was, you do have to kind of put a lot of puzzle pieces together just reading it. Just curious, I'm considering watching Lake Placid this week. Does it have good kills? Lake Placid, it does have a few good kills, but I would say it's not a movie about the kills. It's a good creature feature. It has some good characters, some good humor to it. And what kills it does have is fun in places. And I'm just, it's not a movie that's about the body count. I'll just say that. I'm not going to investigate the ghost. That's out there. I'm in here. I'm safe. It tried to get in. Couldn't get in. Okay, so let's answer one of the other 3 questions before moving on to what I watch on TV. So Tanner is asking me, how do you stay so damn handsome? And also a less creepy question, is there anything horror or non-horror you're really into lately, i.e. cooking shows, woodwork, stuff like that? Thanks, dude. I'm not handsome. Just I've struggled all my life with my self-image, and I have gotten to the point where I won't insult myself, but I still have difficulty receiving compliments, and it's a struggle. It really is. But if I do receive compliments, I have gotten to the point where I don't refute them. So that's progress. As far as other things that I've been into, horror or non-horror, as a lot of you know, I've been going down the road of eating healthier and a weight loss journey for the zombie survival video. I mean, for my lifestyle and my health and my living a longer life for the most part. But with the micro goals set of the zombie survival video, so that's been something that has been occupying a lot of my mental space, and it's been difficult to kind of put focus on anything else. It's such a overarching, arching element of my life at this point. And at some point, it will become second nature. At some point, it will become habit, good habit. But until then, it's purposeful effort, and it does occupy a lot of energy. So thank you all for the wonderful compliments. I appreciate it. Again, I'm working not refuting them anymore. So yeah, let's go over what I watched in television. Barry is back, season 3. Yeah, the new season of Barry is back, and I've been watching that. And it's definitely taken a darker turn, but a good one. I really enjoy Barry overall. And I'm not going to get into spoilers in case anybody hasn't seen it or hasn't caught up yet. But yeah, it's taken some turns with the characters, all the characters, honestly, that is definitely darker. And this is a dark show, but it's going down some avenues that I really didn't expect. And yeah, good stuff. Are we you getting out tonight or tomorrow, Mike? Are you asking if I'm going out tonight or tomorrow? Like, thank you, TYTD reviews. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hillsong, a mega church exposed. Yeah, I watched this multi-part documentary thing. No, I'm not going out. There's some upcoming stuff as far as like, some health stuff, as far as like, dental surgery, that's pretty much going to be, I know I can afford it, the extent to which, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever been in this boat. I'm sure that you have. I'm sure that, I mean, whoever's watching this has, because it's a common thing. But especially in the U.S., when you're dealing with health things and the financial side of it, that the upper end of it is such a question mark that even though you know you can afford it if everything goes right, you're afraid to you're afraid to waste any of your savings leading up to that point, especially as it gets closer, just in case it doesn't go right, or just in case insurance messes up or something. You know, like I need to hold on to this just in case, because if something, you know, coming down the road here goes wrong, it can go catastrophically wrong financially with medical stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of holding on to that and not doing a whole lot extravagant. Plus, I typically don't do a whole lot for my birthday. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. So I typically don't do a whole lot for my birthday, and as I've gotten older, it's been kind of less and less. So I had the hospital, my first child, so much death. Yeah. So, I mean, once that passes, once we have that, you know, the dental surgery and everything with the insurance squares away and everything, then we'll see, you know, what I have to play around with and so on. I do have my eyes on a new microphone. I don't know how feasible that will be. But yeah, I've been saving up for it, and, you know, we'll hopefully, I mean, I enjoy this microphone. It's such a good microphone, and I've had it for years now. Like when I first started out on my channel, I was using this, which is a Zoom conversational mic. Like you put it in the middle of a table and it captures audio like 360 degrees. So if you're doing a roundtable discussion, you can pick everybody up. But that's what I started with because it's the only thing that I had aside from the microphone built into my webcam. And although it does pick up 360 degrees, it doesn't sound great. So one of the first upgrades I did for the channel, once I actually got, like, you know, I felt like the channel possibilities were viable enough, was upgrade the audio. And this is a $35 cardioid condenser mic from Amazon. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, $35 cardioid condenser mic. It's a BC 1610 USB mic. You can't find them anymore outside of like eBay. They don't sell them new anymore. But I mean, it's been so solid. And I actually have two of them. I have this one here and the one over at my station for when I record in front of the green screen. That way I don't have to move my mic around. It was like, fuck, $35, get two of them. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, it's done really well for the job that it's had. But it does, like, there are issues with it as far as, you know, popping out the, popping out the levels more than I'd like. So there's the microphone that I have my eye on is a much bigger upgrade and it's a much bigger investment. But if I get it, if it happens, which I'm hoping will happen by the end of 2022, it will be like the last microphone purchase that I make, because really it's going to be kind of like the highest end that I'd ever really consider going. Okay. Wow. Hillsong, a mega church exposed. Yeah. So this was a couple-part documentary about the worldwide mega church of Hillsong that started in Australia and moved to the U.S. And the rise and not fall, but fall from grace. And it's definitely, you know, like taking its licks, rightly so. Last week tonight with John Oliver, just been continuing watching that. Not a lot to say about it. I enjoy the show. If it's your thing, it's your thing. I just include it because it's part of what I watched. Moon Knight, finished that off. That finished up, and I didn't think it was bad. There were parts of it that I did enjoy, but I would have to say I think it was probably the weakest of the Marvel series so far. Does Charlie Chan count as movies, though? Weren't they, sir? Think of Amityville. Amityville is going to have the biggest number of franchises. Going to beat Charlie Chan pretty soon. Yeah, I would say that Charlie Chan is more of like a serial thing. Like, I think of it like along the lines of like, um, I guess like Laurel and Hardy, or I guess it's slightly different, but yeah. Star Trek Picard, finished that off. That was, I thought that had some good ups and some good, some ups and downs. I think that a lot of people make the mistake. I'll just say it's the mistake of trying to compare it to The Next Generation. And it's just different shows. It's the same characters, but it's different shows and different environments. And I think you're going to get different, trying to expect something of a rigid structure and expectations doesn't really apply. But I do think that season 2 did end on a high note, and I'm still glad that I watched it. 𝗘𝗾𝘂𝗶𝗽𝗺, the spin-off of Letterkenny with the 𝗘𝗾𝘂 character. I would have to say, and this may be controversial, and I've honestly been struggling with myself because I've been meditating on this. I really have. I might like 𝗘𝗾𝘂𝗶𝗽𝗺 more than Letterkenny, and I adore Letterkenny. 𝗘𝗾𝘂𝗶𝗽𝗺 feels like a more complete show. It feels like more refined in its storytelling processes. Like, it's not as all over the place, and the characters are fantastic. It has the Letterkenny vibe of idiosyncrasies that I adore, but it also knows when to pull them back and to actually tell a story. And I really found myself enjoying it a whole lot. Someone recommended Letterkenny to me. I'll have to look for it. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's a very acquired taste. It's a very specific taste, but I've fallen in love. I mean, I loved it pretty much from moment one. But it is a bit fractured, and some of the elements of it in those fractures don't work nearly as well as others. And sometimes it does suffer from the SNL aspect in that the portions of it that don't work, it probably spends way too much focus on occasionally. So it just kind of... But then it comes back to the moments that you do love, and it's all worth it. Jackie is in the Jackie? Am I the Jackie? What's going on? The Jackie. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Star Trek, The Strange New Worlds. I was anticipating that. I was really looking forward to this one, and my expectations have been exceeded. This is such quality Trek, in my opinion. This is the kind of Star Trek that I had been waiting for a long time. I enjoyed Discovery overall. I enjoyed Picard overall. Strange New Worlds is what I've been waiting for. It's such a great... I mean, if you enjoy science fiction, especially if you enjoy like the original series of Star Trek or The Next Generation, and you've been waiting for that kind of that Trek feel to come back in more of like, modern effects, modern technology, CG, things like that. This is the Trek for you, and I cannot recommend it enough. Such a good show. Thank you, DG. Appreciate that. Oh, no. My wife's name is Jenny, not Jackie. Two different people there. Taskmaster, been continuing watching that. It's been a delight. I love Greg Davies so much. I think I fell in love with Greg Davies from watching the segments of Would I Lie to You that he was in. And I always found him funny there. So he did a show, The Cleaner, I think it was. I only saw a little bit of it, but I think he plays a crime scene cleanup guy. But yeah, I love Taskmaster, the original UK one. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it again. And The Handmaid's Tale. So this was the biggest time investment that I did. And if you watched my vlog yesterday, I apologize because I'm going to rehash a little bit of it here. But yeah, I kind of purposefully made it a point to watch The Handmaid's Tale. It was on my watch list for quite a while. And I decided that because of current events and the modern issues that are surrounding us, that it felt like it was a show that should be bumped up because it was becoming important beyond just I wanted to watch it. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but what I will say is that not going to spoil season 4. Not going to spoil anything. I really enjoyed the first 3 seasons. And there was definitely parts of season 4 that I did enjoy. I'm glad that I watched it. I thought prior to me watching it, though, that it was a finished series. Like, I thought it was 4 seasons and done. So I kind of watched it with that level of expectation. And after having watched it through, there was a little bit of a WTF kind of aspect. And then I saw that it wasn't yet done and they are working on a season 5. I'm like, oh. So that explained a little bit there. Yeah. If you're interested in more of my deeper thoughts on it, then yeah, the vlog yesterday would probably be the better way to go. And I did actually include chapters in that. So if you want to just skip right to that, then there you go. Did I watch Stranger Things? I stepped away from watching it to come over here. Oh, wow. I broke somebody away from Stranger Things. That's remarkable. I watched the first episode with Jenny last night. And the horror aspects of it I thought were really good. The cinematic tone of the rest of it was really kind of odd, though. Like I'm a little discombobulated by it. It was a very manic, frenzied tone that took me by surprise, because it always kind of seemed like, every season kind of had its own thematic tone a little bit, but it didn't vary wildly. It wasn't like, Channel Zero kind of thing where every season was a completely different thing. I mean, obviously, but, beyond story in tone also. It kind of stayed a little bit more centered in itself. And this felt very much like a big shift. The odd sequences of, not just... It's episode 1. I mean, that's the only one I've seen so far. But the dungeon master doing his hop up on the, lunch table and point everybody out, speech diatribe thing there. It was just kind of, that was out there. And yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of that. Very manic, very, very frenzied. But I'm looking forward to continuing it on. I'm trying to appreciate it for what it is, not what I want it to be or expect it to be, and go from there. Because the Duffer Brothers really haven't led me astray yet, so I have no reason to distrust them so far. So let's get to that third question of the AMA. What is this? From Nikki. What movie have you watched the most, and why does it appeal to you? Watch the most. Usually movies that I watch over and 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 over are comfort movies. And I would say Evil Dead 2 falls into that category for me at this point. But that's honestly one of the only horror movies that I can think of that fall into that category. The movies that I watch many times over are the comfort movies. No, not earnest movies. But The Goonies is one. Superman, the original 1978 Christopher Reeve movie, is definitely one. That is one that, I mean, is so iconic for me. And I didn't get the chance to see it in the theaters because I was born 2 years after it came out. And I was really upset because back in the 90s, I want to say, late 90s, they were testing a theatrical re-release. Excuse me. I think it was after the original Star Wars trilogy got its theatrical re-release. They were kind of fiddling with the concept of doing that nationwide for a few other movies. So they did a test run in Texas of re-releasing Superman the movie. And I was so excited. I'm like, please, Texas, don't let me down. I want this to be a nationwide thing. And it never happened. So I have never gotten the chance to see it in the theaters, but it's always been a love of mine. And the iconic soundtrack and opening title sequence is a huge part of that. And I'm going to geek out for a moment here, and I apologize for that, but you're about to see some like true uninhibited Mike here. So the opening title sequences with the iconic John Williams score and the letters, flying at you with, was so great. That's actually my audio test. If I'm hooking up a surround sound system, like when we moved into the new house, I got a new surround sound system. And, if I'm hooking up the speakers, wiring everything up, and I'm doing my stuff, the first thing that I play is the opening title sequence of 1978 Superman the movie. And I put it as loud as possible. I rattle windows, and I let those titles at me. And here's the point in which I was very disappointed in the Brandon Routh Superman Returns movie was the very beginning. I suspected that it was going to be a shit show because, it was set to be kind of inspired by the Richard Donner series. It was set to be like Superman 2.5, like presupposed that it happened after Superman 2 and Superman 3 and 4 never happened. And, it was going to be reusing or revising the John Williams score. And I went to the theater to see it. And sat down in the seat, lights dimmed, movie came on, opening title sequence, boom, 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 and then the letters started coming, and I was expecting, like, I'm in the theater watching Superman for the first time in my life, and I have this iconic thing about the opening title sequence and how it just rocks everything, and then the letters come on, and it goes. Like, what the fuck is this? It was the weakest shit ever. I was like, well, downhill from here. And for the most part, it had its pros and cons, but yeah. So that was probably one of the biggest nerd disappointment moments in cinema for me was the opening title sequence of Superman Returns. Just weak sauce. Like, how could they mess that up? So yeah, the movies that I've seen most often, getting back to the actual question, sorry about that, is the comfort movies. Is like, Superman, The Goonies, Clue, probably be a good one. And I'm talking like outside of, childhood, because childhood is that moment in which you just watch movies over and over and over and over and over. And I think at that stage for me, when I was really, really little, Bambi was one. And I remember the Don Knotts Tim Conway movie, The Private Eyes, was one that I watched a lot. And it's a little bit of a you can never go home again kind of thing. I did watch it somewhat recently, like a year or so ago, and it was funny. It wasn't quite what I remembered, though. But Clue is always fantastic. Everybody, Tim Curry, oh my God, Martin Mull. Yeah, just everybody in there was so good. Love Clue. The Mummy was yours? Yeah, I could see that happening. I am actually, I don't know if this is a consensus or not. Like if like the world agrees with me, but I actually like The Mummy 2 more than The Mummy. That one had just such a unabashed feel of an adventure movie. If I think of like an adventure movie, there's a few that come to mind. The Indiana Jones series is, definitely up there, but The Mummy 2 in particular is absolutely one of them. So that's what I watched in TV. That's what I watched in movies. That's the AMA that I did there. And if anybody has any other questions, now's the time to ask, because otherwise I think we'll be wrapping this all up here. The hot air balloon, that whole sequence was awesome. Like when I don't even remember what it was now, but when they were like doing that last fly through, so good. The music that went with that, so good. Such a great sequence. Cringe at the bad CG. You know what? That's valid. That was one of the worst examples of CG you ever put in movies, as with The Rock in The Mummy 2. But yes, I did answer your AMA question. I think it was before you got here, and the short answer was, even though it was all clothed, Cassandra Peterson, as far as my favorite TNA in horror movies. Cassandra Peterson playing Elvira, that will always kind of be my upper echelon of... So... let's see. Favorite flavor of Gatorade. I don't know. I tried to go with the 0 calorie, but the Arctic Blast, like the white one, I do like that one. But I don't drink Gatorade, honestly, that much. The bottle is sturdy. So what I have more than anything else are these like sugar-free individual flavor pack things of like, fruit punch, cherry limeade. So I'll just fill the bottle up with water and toss one of those in there. It's cheap. It's no sugar. Tasty. What is the one type of horror movie that you can't watch because it gets in your head? There's horror movies that I can't watch for other reasons. Like I refuse to watch the Lucifer Valentine movies, the Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, for reasons beyond just emetophobia. I find that, he's a very problematic filmmaker and individual, and I have no interest in that. But that's not because it gets in my head. I don't think there's any one type of movie that I can't watch because it gets in my head. There's a lot of movies that I will still watch, fully acknowledging that it's going to get in my head. And there's a certain level of, I don't know if it's masochism or not. I think it's a little bit more complex than that. But, I've often said that one of the major goals of cinema is to elicit an emotion from the audience. And most of the goals for filmmakers to accomplish that are trying to elicit the emotions of sadness or joy. Not simple. I want to keep thinking it's simple, and it's not simple. But I think that despair and disgust are also very valid. But you kind of have to be in that mood to, that I want to experience this. And I do get in those moods. So I wouldn't say that there's any, one type of movie, avoiding the 4-letter R word, but that revenge movies or, exploitation movies, Rob, anything like that. Thank you, Megan. Appreciate that. But I'll watch pretty much any type of movie that was, made in legal fashion. We do get to those points, like if you're talking, if we're thinking about the iceberg thing of extreme movies, there is a point in which you go down far enough, and this kind of gets back into the Lucifer Valentine stuff, or even worse, where things are not just exploitative of the audience or of the cinema culture, but actually abusive of the performers and so forth. That's my, like, I can't do that. So let's see. Okay. Any podcasts that you did enjoy? I'm trying not to miss any here. Any podcasts you did enjoy lately? I don't really listen to podcasts that much. And it's usually because I cannot listen to something in the background and absorb it. And typically, like, that's the moment in which I would be doing, playing a podcast, is if I'm, like, working on, work, closing tickets out at my job, doing some technical stuff, script writing, whatever, or working on the channel. Just, I usually have something playing in the background, but if it's words, if it's audio books or podcasts or something like that, I'm not absorbing anything. So I actually have been doing a little bit more like audiobooks for my walking, which has been nice. And I would say that the podcasts that I'm interested in listening to are some of the more major players, like Ear Biscuits or Distractable, things like that. So let's see. If you could be trapped in any of the known saw traps, which would you choose? That's a really good question. Like, there's a part of me that wants to just say, like the head spiked head thing. And that's mostly just because, like, get it over with. Like, I'm not going to get out of this thing. I'm going to go at least make it quick. I won't watch Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about, is like, the stuff that is an element. Abuse is an element of the filmmaking process historically at some point in that series or with that filmmaker, and that is a bridge too far for me. I cannot, in good conscience, and I understand that I am very all over the place with separating art from artists. There's some that I can kind of abide by. There's some that I'll give some gray area to, and then there's some that I just flat out can't do. And there's really I can't really put any kind of rhyme or reason for it. Just everybody has their own thresholds and triggers and so forth. And I would say that I cannot support any Jeepers Creepers movie at all. I just can't. Let's see. Yeah, Kubrick is one that, like, follows in the kind of gray area pattern for me, in that I acknowledge he's problematic. I also acknowledge he's an exceptionally gifted filmmaker. But it adds a complexity that I can't always get behind. Like, I love Shelley Duvall's performance in The Shining, but it's always heartbreaking beyond the performance of the character. Like, it's always heartbreaking knowing what the hell she got put through. I forgot you were a male. I listen to podcasts. Thank you, B. Yeah, I there's so many things that I can multitask with very successfully, but audible absorption while focusing on something else is just not one of them. I can't do it. And at the same time, I also get very overwhelmed audibly. Like, if I am, if I'm having kind of a difficult moment, like I I have trouble at like parties, things like that. If there's loud music and 100 different voices around me, I can feel like I'm drowning and I need to go outside. I have a lot of issues with trying to listen to something while there's a lot of other things. So it becomes a little bit, yeah, the reverse bear trap, that was it. Yeah, I think it was a reverse bear trap. Jump into the pool of needles, painful but not deadly. Oh, I don't know if I'd be able to do that one now. To me, it is easier if the creator is dead. Yeah, I would agree with that. And, you know, just because, you know, they're not benefiting anymore from, you know, the audience. But Victor Salva, and I know that he's not officially associated with the new Jeepers Creepers, Victor Salva, but to me, that almost makes no never mind. Like, if Jeepers Creepers, the new one, succeeds, it's still going to have people going back to the others, which he still does benefit from. So, I just can't do it. If you could revive a horror film character that died, which one would you pick? If you could revive... So like revive in the film or bring out of the screen and into real life? I'm going to ask that, you know, the follow-up question to be there. Clarify that and I'll answer that. Yeah, I'm reviewing Dr. Sleep next month. Catherine has me on a Shining kick. Which, if you haven't watched my video of the Shining miniseries review, check it out. It was a fun one to make. I was given the criteria of reviewing that one without comparing it to the Kubrick film, which was a very fun challenge to tackle, and one that I was mostly but not always successful with. Have them not die in the fictional world of the film. Okay. Let me give that some thought. Okay, revive a horror film character that died. Which one would you pick? Like, my first instinct would be to say the mother character in God, what is it? The horror comedy with Adam Levine and sometimes I'm really good with recall, but sometimes stuff just eludes me. And live streams, like it puts a spotlight on when it does elude me. The Final Girls. The mother character, the Final Girls, just because it was so heartbreaking, but at the same time, like, that death had so much meaning to it, I wouldn't want to reverse that. You know what, Ben? You know what? That's too good to pass up. Randy from Scream 2. Randy was such a great character. I thought that, like, he could have been so fantastic leading through things. I was glad Juno died. Yeah. She could stay dead as far as I'm concerned. But yeah. So Randy from Scream 2. And I honestly, you know, if that was my thought on my review of Scream, and if you missed it, my review of Scream, the new Scream movie, was that every Scream film is not just telling the story of, you know, Ghostface and so forth, but it also is that film. Like, Scream 2 dissected sequels, and it was a sequel. Scream 3 dissected the last of a trilogy, and it was the last of a trilogy until it wasn't. And the new Scream dissected the requel, which was, you know, like, kind of taking a lot of inspiration from some films like, you know, the 2018 Halloween, which, you know, took the, you know, presupposed that the first movie happened, but, you know, maybe the second did, but not, you know, any of the rest. And we're injecting ourselves in the middle of it, and we're bringing back some iconic characters. We're rehashing out, you know, where other characters wound up, things like that. Basically putting pushing the reset button on an element of it. And I kind of wish that the new Scream movie didn't just continue on the story of, Sydney and Dewey and so forth, but was actually also in and of itself a requel. And I think one of the best ways it could have done that was to have Randy be alive. I just want Randy alive. Such a good character. And I'm not a huge Jamie Kennedy fan. Like, he was in he was in the last couple Tremors movies up until the very last one. And not my favorite part of the whole Tremors series there, but I would have liked to have seen him back in Scream. Ben and OG Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. Bernadette and Candyman. Yeah, I would say that. I can see a lot of these are being very valid. Kirby from Scream, but according to reports, he'll be in the next one. Oh. Yeah, she's going to be in the next one. I did hear that. Yeah, from what I remember, like, her actual fate was a bit questionable. So that left the door open to, bringing her back. Like, where she's been, who can tell, but yeah. Do not say a bad word about Malibu's Most Wanted. I will not have that. All right, fair point. I won't say anything bad about that. I will just think it. So, any other last questions here before I go ahead and sign out here? We've been doing this for an hour and 15 minutes. It's been a very fun hour and 15 minutes. I'm happy to answer anything. But, okay, here, let's see. What advice would you give to somebody who was about to do the first horror movie review for YouTube? Oh. Practice. We're about to pull the trigger and do choose or die. Okay. I don't know. I actually have a lot of advice, but mostly what it comes down to is practice. Like, a lot of people will start out a channel by investing a lot in, fancy camera, fancy microphones, technology. I would say that practice with the stuff you have will reveal to you later on, as you refine things, what, equipment and so forth you're going to be wanting. Through practice, so much of where you want to go from there will reveal itself, and you will get more comfortable on camera. I don't recommend anybody watch any of my earliest videos, but it's a far cry different from when I first started out. It took me years of practice to get comfortable sitting in this room, talking to myself, getting comfortable in front of the camera, and knowing that I'm talking to the world, knowing that I'm talking to people that are, happy to tune in and, watching me. But it took practice to get to that comfort level. And yes, you do have to be more animated on camera than in real life. You do have to kind of, I remember Adam Savage actually talking about that he does some Q&As in his workshop and YouTube videos. He was talking about how for YouTube, your energy level, your expression, your emotion, like actually emoting, needs to be higher than your normal conversation. And that was an interesting thing. When the pandemic first started, most of my human interaction took place within the walls of this house, and talking to the camera and emoting like this. And have to head out. Okay, bye, Jackie. Thank you so much for joining. It was great to see you here. It was emoting like this and keeping the energy level high, because just normal conversational thing will, it may be very engaging if you're sitting across from me in the diner and we're talking about movies over, ham and eggs. But it's going to appear on camera very, very bland. And you need to kind of bring that energy level up just a bit. I try not to go too wild, because honestly, YouTube videos like that just annoy me. But it was an interesting thing, because after something like 8 or 9 some odd months of the pandemic, I got the opportunity to go and have lunch with my coworkers for the first time, I was actually going to have outside interactions with somebody. And I sat down at the table and we had our food and I was talking like this. And they're like, dude, knock it off. We're in a restaurant. And like I had forgotten how to be around people, like real people. So yes, you do need to do that. I was doing a university course on Minecraft server and I just marathon all your videos. Oh, that's nice. While farming gunpowder. Okay, fair enough. They didn't unsubscribe. They're still good friends of mine. But funny thing is there's very, very few people in my real life, my meat world life here, that actually have any interest in my channel at all. Most of my friends don't watch horror movies, and I mean, they're interested in the channel insofar as, they're watching their friend kind of, undergo this fun thing and engage with an audience and build something. But beyond that, like, they don't watch my videos. Yeah, very few people I know, family, friends, anybody. So let's see. If you could have a sequel made to any movie, what would it be? Sorry. I just saw Sammy's here. Just do it. Yeah, that gets into the practice thing. But yes, definitely just do it. Just, be uncomfortable. Make mistakes, make flubs. In all of that is going to be a learning experience. Don't expect to get it right. Definitely don't expect to get it right out of the gate. Just practice. So, okay, real quick here. If you could have a sequel made to any movie, would it be The Goonies? I would bring all of them back, do a sequel to The Goonies. There was talks about that happening back in, I want to say 2001. The cast all got back together to do audio commentary for a special release DVD, and there was rumor mills abound, but it never actually came to fruition, and I actually kind of wish it had. Let's see. Do you think you have to be on camera? Is it okay to use film footage and stills? Perfectly fine to use film footage and stills. Yeah, there's plenty of channels that will not actually have anybody on camera. Yeah, that is definitely an option. So, it all depends on the format and how you want to present yourself. Whether it be audio only or video and audio, or even just text. I've seen some things where it's just text. There's a bit of a YouTube rabbit hole that I've been going down the last couple months of watching Japanese ferry videos, like F-E-R-R-Y, taking the ferry to go from one place to another in Japan, and or trains or buses or something like that. And my favorite, one of the reasons that I watch those in particular is because on a cultural level, it's very fascinating to me. Plus, knowing that their audience is going to be speaking a variety of different languages, not just Japanese, so that they're making YouTube videos for a worldwide market. There's no dialogue. They will have the closed captioning, or they'll have text show up of, this is how much the ticket cost. I'm going to go get lunch now. Here's what it was. Things like that. And there's no audible dialogue. So you just get, and I've been really enjoying those. And then I try to watch something, I'm kind of interested in the same thing on a different cultural level of people maybe taking getting their Euro pass and going to, on train visits and so forth, and seeing, the stops and the shops, going through Germany or something like that. But it's really hard to find those videos where you don't have obnoxious presenters talking to the camera, hamming it up. It removes the Zen-like quality. And so those are the videos I don't want to watch. So, yeah, as far as whether you need to be on camera or not, it's whatever you want to put out there. And whatever you do put out there is going to find its audience. So, yeah. Bye, DC. Thank you for joining here. They're doing a Final Destination reboot. Yeah, I heard about that. Okay, so I think that should about wrap this one up. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And thank you everybody for the birthday wishes. And it's been a blast. I've really had a lot of fun here. And I'm very grateful for all of your support. I know I say it a lot, but it does mean the world to me. And I'm always overwhelmed by the amount of support and appreciation that you all show. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow because I'm going to have reviews for the next couple of days. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.